You're listening to Good Because Danish podcast. In this podcast series, writers from Good Because Danish will be talking about albums and EPs and exchanging their thoughts on the music releases from Denmark that you should listen to.
Hello, everybody listening out there. This is Mads and Miriam coming to you with a recommendations podcast. We have 3 releases on the agenda today. We have a song called Sommerfugle, or translated into Butterflies, by an artist under the name of Godt, Gået, Frej. Then we have an album from a band called Sidste, Udkald, translates roughly into last call, as in last call for a train or whatever it might be. Then we move on into the more alternative rock scene with Mimic Octopus and an album of theirs that they have released here in back in July. We're going to kick off, of course, with Sommerfugle because, well, it's a nice little song to start with, and I think that as soon as you hear it, you will understand why. But Miriam, tell me, what were your first impressions of Sommerfugle?
Well, given the fact that I don't speak Danish or understand it, I can read Danish, it's fine. But listening or when someone's talking to me, that's very hard for me to understand. But anyways, I still got a really summery feeling, a feeling of running through fields of sunflowers, and it kind of gave me a 70s vibe. I cannot really say why, or 60s, 70s, but it's just, I picture big colored sunglasses. I picture a group of people passing the joint. I don't know why. And very, very interesting. I actually got, like, in German it's like Ohrwurm, like earworm. So when you have a song stuck in your head, like the lyrics stuck in your head. And I actually had that, even though I didn't understand what he was singing. But I had this chorus in my head going on and on again. Genau, exactly. So can you tell me what the song is actually about, except for butterflies?
Well, I think it's a song about indecision, you might say. It feels like a song about how you feel slightly distant from your emotions and how that can lead you to be, lead to, I suppose, problems in relationships. But even so, there is that hint of optimism there in the lyrics as well, which is somehow hard to summarize, but it just kind of lurks under the surface. For me, it's the music that really makes it shine. I just feel like the arrangement and the production is all very well done and very purposefully done. The first time I heard it, I kind of thought, this is cool. There are some nice synthy stuff going on. There's some tasty guitar work. The vocal is all very well produced, well sung, well delivered. And then once the song was over, I don't know, somehow a lot of the qualities that I liked about it, they just seemed to disappear from my mind. I had to listen to it again in order for them to kind of stick. And the more times I listened to it, the more it stuck. But of course, I wanted to. In the moment, I always really liked the experience of listening to the song. And then as I listened to it more and more times, the arrangement embedded itself within me in a slightly more personal way, I would say. Yeah,
I remember that you told me give it like more shots, listen to it like several times, and I was really confused because when I would turn it on, I actually got a really nice fuzzy feeling all at once. So I didn't really need to give it like more chances. I was sold from the start. So
yeah. And so I was. Yeah. It was just, I mean, usually if I hear a song that I really like, then it will stick in my brain. I will be able to recall the arrangement and the guitars and the form of the song, and it'll kind of, and I would actually usually be able to write about a song that I'd heard from just having heard it once, and then actually put my feelings into words about it. But I couldn't with this one. I had to go back to it. And I'm not sure why, but I'm really happy that I did, because it was, as you say, a really nice experience listening to it, because it's so well made, so well written. And I kind of came to the conclusion that it's a song that's extremely pleasant to listen to. It doesn't assault you with its musicality. It just kind of invites you in and lets you leave again once it's done, right? It's just thoroughly pleasant, inviting, and nice, and then you go about your day with hopefully a better mood afterwards. And I just had to relive it a couple of times in order to actually get the hooks into my brain. A lot of modern pop productions, they do just instantly, right? They'll put earworms into your brain instantly, oftentimes without you even wanting them there. So this was a case of the opposite, where I felt that the song wasn't pushing hooks into my brain. It was just presenting itself openly, and then it was up to me to come to the song, in a sense. And I really enjoyed that.
Flying by like a butterfly, passing like a joint.
Yeah?
Or like a leaf in the wind. But yeah, being really nice to look at.
Yeah.
Well, listen in this case, but
aesthetically pleasing.
Very, very organic as well.
Yeah, it all just feels very natural. Nothing feels contrived. It's just all there. And it's nice.
Maybe that's why I got the 60s, 70s feeling like...
Yeah. Yeah, and I can understand that. I think that in the musical sensibilities, there are some 60s, 70s kind of sensibilities in terms of how the song is written and some of the lyrical aspects and just the down-to-earth nature of it. But there are also some 80s vibes that I couldn't help but pick up on, like the synths were these very classic 80s sounds that have been popularized of late, or repopularized of late. There's been a lot of those. And then combined with the very simple drum but effective drumming pattern and just the thoroughly full sounding production of it, made it also, it had some sensibilities of, say, the 70s, but it also felt a lot newer, like a merging of decades and a merging of ideas. The next album on the docket for today is called Midt i Ingenting, which translates into the middle of nowhere. It is released by a Danish band from Jutland, more specifically Mols in Jutland, which is on the west coast. And they're called Sidste Udkald. And it's a 10-song long album effort that has come out. And, well, may I tell you, when you say 60s and 70s, I feel like this is really a lot of that. There is some, it's like a lovely mix of soul, folk, and blues in the way that you would see a lot of artists like Van Morrison and people like that do. But what were your impressions?
Actually, kind of the same. I actually wouldn't have come to the conclusion that they're 60s, 70s vibes, but I just picked up on the folk and country elements of it, and I was like, not from the start, but from the second song on, Richtig Ven. Richtig Ven. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rigtig Ven.
Richtig Ven.
Meaning real friend.
Okay. It's great that we have a Danish person here talking Danish, understanding Danish, and translating for us. I'm very thankful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I was actually reminded of Mark Knopfler or the Dire Straits. Like it's not the same, but there are certain elements, for example, the country guitar. There was kind of a country album that Mark Knopfler did together with Emmylou Harris.
Yes.
Who is a country singer.
All the Road Running.
And I really, I love that album. Like, I listened to it basically all my childhood and teenage years because my parents used to take that on CD when we were going on holiday. So we were just listening to the same album all holidays when we were going to, I don't know, Sweden or Norway. And so I remember that very, very fondly. And I could really nicely connect it to this release. So
that's
nice.
actually that's a nice thought. I can absolutely see how you would liken it to a lot of Mark Knopfler's solo career, and particularly a lot of the soundscapes that came out of that All the Road Running album. Was I also, from this album, I think the second song was really also the first one to really catch my eye or catch my ear, I suppose. Really grab my attention, and then the fifth song, Dybt ned I et hul, which just means deep down in the hole. It's apparently about feeling some laconic sense of depression. It's a quite simple song. A lot of the songs are actually quite simple, but they are very effective. In a lot of I feel like they're written where the writer, the band, they know how to use simplicity. So they make this pleasant simplicity, and then there will come some just this one note in a chord somewhere that you don't expect, and it just twists your idea of what the sound of the song is just lightly in a bridge or a chorus section or something like that, and then it'll just bloom in your brain harmonically. And that's the experience I had of this song, especially Dybt ned I et hul. It's such a strong simplicity is what I will call it.
I kind of got the same impression. I just wouldn't have been able to call it that way. I just try to decipher some of the Danish biography that they sent with the release. You can just see from the pictures there's a lot of people, there's a lot of instruments, and I just found it very impressive that they're building this kind of mini orchestra, but not sounding overwhelming and super demanding, but just very pleasant and cozy,
and intimate in a way.
Yes, exactly. There was one thing that I realized about the singing, or the recording of the singing, because sometimes, or I noticed that in very major pop recordings, that when the person, the vocalist is singing, the voice or the breathing is cut off, that you only hear what is sung, but the breathing in between is cut off, and it's not in here. And I noticed that, and I actually, at first I was confused, and I was like, is that how it's done, or is that a mistake or something? But actually I think it makes the sound much more natural and organic, so you can really feel the emotional expression.
Yes, there is actually a lot of expression in his breathing. Their lead singer, and it, you know what I also think it helps you do. It helps you just close your eyes and then visualize the band sitting around you. In a way, I think the way the whole production feels very much like a live band playing this for you in a way that I just really enjoy and appreciate. It feels like it's recorded live in a sense, where they're just all in the same room, or maybe a couple of different rooms in the studio environment, and then they just sat down and they played these songs, and maybe a couple of things were patched up later with second takes and whatnot, but it just really feels like such a cohesive playing experience. It really feels like every member of the band is just intensely listening to what each other is doing and just responding to each other.
Yeah, and that's very sympathetic, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the word, sympathetic?
And
yeah, I'm just really a fan of that. So I really want to see them live. It's basically the same thing with most of the bands that I listen to and enjoy. Yeah. That I'm like, I want to see how they perform live, and I want to see how they work live. And with this band, I can almost imagine how they work together live, because I feel like the recordings are live as well that I've already heard. So yeah, there was one thing that was a bit hard for me, because all these songs from this album are in Danish. And as I said before, I don't understand spoken Danish. So this was kind of hard for me to get a hold of, because I tried to understand, but I didn't really get the words. But the expression of the vocalist actually, made me get ideas of what the songs are about, because sometimes he would just get louder or be very quiet or be very theatrical at times, like very articulating the words. And sometimes also get a little whiny sounding. Especially in Tilfreds.
Yes.
If that's the song name called.
Tilfreds, yes, it means satisfied.
Oh, okay. So what is that song about?
Well, it is a song that explores the concept of satisfaction in a modern society, and whether one can feel satisfied the way things are, and also, the joys of finding satisfaction. Yeah, but also kind of how elusive that can sometimes be. Yeah. And I really like your point about him using his voice theatrically. It's really used as a tool of expression. There are many singers, myself included, will really just gravitate toward one kind of sound when they're singing, but the human voice can sound in so many different ways depending on how you use your mouth or how breathy you make things, and all these kind of different tools that we have at our disposal of expressing emotions vocally. Well, I feel like they're on display one way or another at some point throughout this album, which I think is really cool.
So yeah, congrats to Snorre Rallund for using his voice greatly. Yes. So yeah, great album. Listen to it with a glass of wine and a candle. Yeah. In a cold winter night. Well, now it's summer, but that's kind of the feeling. Also, they have band pictures, like press pictures, where they are sitting around like a wooden table, and it's kind of dark, and they have some candles on the table, and it looks very cozy, and it looks like a medieval bar or something, where they're just
and you just
drinking
want to
beer
hop in
or
there.
something. Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, who knows? I mean, if you're listening, if you're listening, and if anyone from Sidste Udkald is listening, we'd love to join you. Because it seems like a lovely time when you get together. But anyhow, do we want to move on to the last album?
Mimic Octopus. which I'm very excited about. I try to contain myself. Mimic Octopus are a band that also sent their music to us. And we have a list where we just list all music that is sent to us, and we so we can all writers can look through it and see what they would like to write about. And Mimic Octopus are, or were, that's going to be explained later, a grunge band. A female-fronted grunge band, which I'm very excited about, because grunge has always been a very male-dominated thing. And also, it's basically been dead since 2000. So this is kind of a reawakening. And some background. Mimic Octopus is a Danish grunge band of 2 women and 1 trans man. They got together in 2017, and they are unfortunately split up already, which is why I said were in the beginning. But let's not dwell on that too much. What was your first impression, Mads, from this album?
My first impression was that I think when I put on the album, for some reason it automatically put on the song Bus, which is the second track of the album, and that is one aggressive sounding opening, and actually so much that I was kind of startled by it in a sense.
In a positive way or in a negative way?
That's what I'm still trying to pass. I was reminded of some of the say Nirvana. That's my closest comparison, because they use a lot of the same dynamic devices. So you have kind of, first of all, you have a trio. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have bass, you have drums, you have guitars, you have a lead vocal, and you have maybe some backing vocals every now and then. And the guitars and the intensity of the drums, they come in kind of 2 stages. They come in light touched, almost as if the guitar is barely being touched, and the drums as well, and everything along with it, and then the intensity will ramp up. The chords won't necessarily change, but everything changes around them. The dynamics, they just explode with distortion sounds and more intense vocal deliveries, and drums that are just being bashed to within an inch of their lives. So there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and the more I listened to the album, the more I gained an appreciation for how the band handles dynamics and writes their songs around that concept, especially because a lot of bands won't use dynamics nearly as well, remarkably. It is when you listen to it, there really is a deciding shift. I remember listening to the song Again, for instance.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which really, it just starts. It opens with softly played, guitars with chorus effects on them to make them seem a little bit more wonky, a little bit more out there. Then you have the double-tracked vocals. The lead singer just singing the same vocal part twice, and some drums in the background with a lot of reverb, and it'll just roam around in this sonic landscape for a little while, and then the chorus will come, and then the plinky plonky guitar will turn into a wall of distortion, and more vocal layers will be added, and yeah. Oh, and I enjoy that contrast a lot.
Yeah, I was also I'm also a big fan of the song Again. I'm really a bit opposed to calling like one song an opera, but if I would have to call this something, it's a song that goes through many stages. and there were very many parts, as in the whole album, that really reminded me, because I was a big grunge kid in the not in the 90s, because then I was a little child, but when I was 15, I was listening to Nirvana, Mudhoney, Alice in Chains, all the good bands. Hole, also by Courtney Love's band. And yeah, this, like, listening to this album actually made me feel like home, because it had so many elements that these bands also included in their music. And especially like when Again started that song, and I heard that they were using this polyphony of vocals, like several vocal
layers.
Thank you. Layers. I was reminded of Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains, because they used that quite a lot in their songs. And yeah, also they call themselves, I quote, a mixture between Alice in Chains at a slumber party and Spice Girls with a depression, which immediately drew me to them. Like, I only had to read that sentence and I was sold. I was like, okay, I need to listen to this, because they are quoting, they are actually mentioning my favorite grunge band of all time, so I need to get to this. And I was actually a bit scared that it wouldn't be great, so I was like, I hope they're not trying to be modern or do like some kind of post-rock thing and call that grunge. But no, they're actually making grunge. So I'm very happy with this release, and I cannot applaud them enough for that. I wish just they would still be a band. So,
well, the musicians will still be around, one hopes. You know, they're young. They've got plenty of decades ahead of them, and I'm sure they'll make a lot more cool music, whether together or in other constellations, who knows.
I would also like to mention the piece called Blackout, which is a bit different to the rest, because all the other, or like basically most of the other songs, have these muddy guitars and this wall of drums and very loud, but Blackout is very mellow, kind of sounds kind of muffled, and
yes, it kind of stays in its mellowness.
Exactly, like it doesn't break out of it. The only thing that kind of breaks out of it is Julia's voice. Julia is the singer, because she has a very distinctive voice that's kind of like pieces of light breaking through the very thick fog.
That's a good image.
That's what it that's what it felt like to me. And it's like a very big heavy blanket, but it's nice. Like, it's not drowning you. It's nice. You know what I mean?
Yes. You can just you get enveloped in it, and whether you want to or not, you lie there in the comforts of your blanket, and you just don't want to go out, because outside it's cold and it's foggy and it's wet, but here's this blanket and it's covering you in a niceness that won't leave you. Exactly.
I actually had like a very nice feeling throughout the whole album, because it's basically like embodying all the teenage angst I had with 15, and like all the fears that you have when you're going through puberty, all the awkwardness, and, well, to be fair, also the hopelessness. Well, at least I had that time. And well, the album was quite short. It's like around 30 minutes in total, but to me it really built a safe space. So I really I feel safe, and I feel glad when listening to it.
Yeah, there is something nostalgic about it, isn't there? Especially seeing as how, the grunge era was such a short-lived thing in a way, and a lot of the musicians that made it what it was moved on to other things, other styles, other bands, graves.
Well, or died.
Yeah. Moved 6 feet under. You know, and so I can't help but feel a nostalgic sensation when listening to something that is so unashamedly mid-90s grunge to a T.
Yeah.
It's it's really worth a listen, especially if you enjoy grunge. Of course, you should. But also, if I would say also if you're just a fan of nice, moody and emotive listening experience as well, then it's really good. It's really good, and it's also, I mean, as 90s as the music is, as the instrumentation and the arrangement is, as you know, as much as that is very reminiscent of the grunge of the past, the lyrics and the themes in the music are very much current, they're very much present, and they feel like, the issues of 20-year-old people in our 21st century society.
You can find the album of Mimic Octopus, which is also called Mimic Octopus, on Bandcamp, and actually they also released it on Spotify, so you can always also add it to all your playlists, and it was originally planned to only be released through Bandcamp, which is a very punk thing to do nowadays, but they recognized that there was actually a lot of demand from people to have that on Spotify as well, so now it's on there. And Sidste Udkald's album is released on the 20th of August. And Sommerfugle is out, so you can also listen to that one on Spotify.
You indeed can, and we think that you should. These are our August recommendations for your summer listening pleasure. I was Mads.
You were Mads?
And I still am.
And I am Miriam.
And we wish you a wonderfully musical remainder of your summer.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Good Because Danish Recommendations podcast. We are learning how to make them better and working on upgrading our equipment and software in order to deliver the best possible listening experience to you. We hope you can bear with us while we are still exploring the world of podcasting. If you like what we are doing, please consider supporting Good Because Danish via PayPal donation or via Patreon site. You can find more information on the best Danish music on our website, goodbecausedanish.com.